Hey everybody, so I have been hunting down here in South Carolina on the beach for about a week, and I've had some mixed results. Haven't found too much, but I did learn a lot about how to use the AT Pro in a saltwater situation. So I will show you some of the things that I learned, and hopefully it'll help you if you're trying to hunt on the beach in saltwater with an AT Pro. It's probably not the best machine for the beach, but it works just fine. Like, I can hear my targets loud and clear. There's just some false signals and things like that. So I'll try to take you through some of that, and let's get going. So the first thing you should do when you're setting up the detector is you should really ground balance it and just hold it over wherever you're hunting. And you don't need to touch the sand. In fact, you don't want to touch the sand. It might give you some false readings. Just hold it about an inch above the sand, hold down that ground balance button, and go up and down, okay? And you can see I'm ground balancing out at about 10 right here. And then what I did from there is I hit the ground balance button, and I actually took it negative just a few. So I took it down to 9. If you're getting false signals, I would recommend doing that. Just taking it into negative ground balance. That'll usually quiet you down quite a bit. You can see I set my iron discrimination to about 27. You can leave it wide open. I wouldn't put it any higher than 30 though, or you could miss some signals. I've had pennies come up in the 40s, some weird VDI numbers, so don't trust those VDI numbers. I'd dig it. And I'll show you some other things that I learned as I was going along, how to spot some false signals. So when you're swinging your coil, make sure you don't touch the sand. If you do, you'll get some false signals just from that salt water. Oh, and by the way, you can see I'm hunting kind of a little bit, it's low tide, so I'm hunting a little above the low tide mark. And you can see up here we've got some sand that's dry sand. If you go into that dry sand, or if you go into the water, you're going to want to ground balance again because it will change just from those little areas. Now, when I am doing my sweep back and forth, I keep my coil about an inch right off the sand to make sure I'm not hitting that sand by accident. All right, let's start swinging and see if we can get a target. So I got one showing up here, and let's see, it's kind of harder here, but you can hear it a little bit there. Showing up as 48, 61. See how it's jumping around there? But consistent enough that I would dig it. Now, the other thing I do to figure out if it's a false signal is I hold down the pinpointer, and then as you pinpoint, I hope you can hear that. You can hear it pinpoints over one specific area. I found that if it won't pinpoint over a specific area, like you're getting weird pinpointing, that's usually a false signal, just caused by maybe some black sand or something else like that with some iron in it. But if it's pretty consistent, you're going over it, then you probably got yourself a good signal, especially if you're pinpointing right over it too. Okay, so let's see what this is. So I dug out my hole, and I'm swinging over here, and seems like I got something right in this chunk. Again, I'm being careful not to touch the sand and get a false reading. Okay, now as I go in here and I'm ready to pinpoint, another important thing is to make sure you ground your pinpointer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over here away from my target, turn it on. Now it's grounded. If you don't do that, you're going to get a lot of chatter out of your pinpointer. So let's go in here, let's see what this is. Seems to be right around here. Ah, I see it. It is a penny. No, maybe not a penny. What do you think that is? Let's see. Oh, that's a dime, I think. Maybe get some of that crust off there. Can you see that all right? Yeah, appears to be a dime. I'll take that. So you can see how those VDI numbers come up really, really weird sometimes. Because usually a dime would be coming up in the 80s. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this in focus there, but there it is. Nothing crazy, just a little dime. All right, so that's the tricks. If you are going to detect on the beach, just remember, ground your pinpointer before you start using that. Make sure you swing your coil about an inch off the sand, and do some ground balancing regularly. And if you're getting too much chatter, you can turn down your sensitivity just a little bit, but I didn't have to do too much of that. I really did it more by just doing that ground balancing and even turning it down to negative ground balance, and that did the trick for me. All right, well, I hope this helped you out. Look at that beautiful beach. Even if I don't find anything, man, this walk is going to be beautiful. All right, y'all, have a great day. So now I'm back at the house. I realized that some of that glare was making it tough to see. So I wanted to show you, again, some of the things I talked about where you can see a little better. So the first thing I would say is your mode here. I would go right to Pro 0. Okay, so right down here, Pro 0. And then, like I said, I set my iron discrimination right to about 25 or 26. Just don't go above 30 for sure, because some of your targets are going to come up weird, and you could be missing some coins even if you go above 30. Okay, my sensitivity, I put it in the middle, but if you can stand it, go a little higher. See how many false signals you get, because you're going to lose a lot of depth when you back off like that. So you don't want to do too much of that. Then the ground balancing. So you can hold down the button again and just lift your coil up and down about an inch away from the sand, and it'll auto ground balance. But then if you want to ground balance manually, just tap it, and then you can go up or down from there. So I was auto ground balancing at about 11, and then I took it down to 9 for negative ground balance, just because you get a little bit less noise. The signals that I found that were good tones sounded just like they would in dirt. There were a lot of tones that would be kind of iffy and not repeatable, and that's your number one clue, just like in the dirt. If it's a non-repeatable tone, it is probably not a good target. All right, well, good luck out there, and happy hunting.